Welcome back. I am your host, like the guy just said. I'm Steven Leahy.
That's what he said. That's what the man said.
I'm here with my co-host Jim Leahy, the realtor of the show, and our technical producer Deborah Shriner. And
that's right, Attorney Steven Leahy. Remember, Opem Tax Resolution is there for you, ladies and gentlemen. If you have a problem, get it solved today. Don't let it fester. Don't let it fester.
Uncle Fester?
Okay. Let's just cut me off while we're ahead.
Cut.
It's the blog segment. The blog. The blog.
Very good, Jim.
I just want people to know that Opem Tax Resolution is a wonderful solution to your problem.
Very good. I see what you did there. It is a.
I actually got.
Here is somebody. As you know, this is our blog segment, which I like to talk about what happened in the office this week. And in the
water cooler talk,
and in the office, we help people, like Jim was just saying. And we had a big win in the office this week.
What'd you do?
The big win is this. Okay, so I have a client who is in a payroll tax situation, a fairly larger company, had a payroll tax issue, has a payroll company do their payroll for their and the IRS implemented a electronic filing at sometime a couple of years ago, and this was the first time that this company was doing this electronic filing, and they got a confirmation that all of their stuff went through, but it was false. None of the stuff didn't make it to the IRS, and they didn't find out for about 3 months later than that. And by that time, the IRS had assessed now remember, there's when you don't file your tax return on time or you don't pay on time, there's actually a number of penalties that go along with this. The first one is what they call a failure to file penalty. So if I don't file within 60 days, right, then after the minimum amount is the smaller of $135 or 100% of your unpaid taxes. And any month or part of a month, you get charged 5%. Up to 25% of the total tax due. That's what the penalty is, and that's for failure to file. Failure to pay is a different tax, and that could be a 0.5% per month. Again, they just keep accruing. So the later you are, the more you pay, and it's a month or any part of the month. So my client, again, said, wait a minute, this isn't fair. We thought we had filed on time. We were relying on this other outfit. We thought we filed on time. And so the payroll company had sent notice to the IRS, said, hey, wait, this was our mistake. This was it was an error. It was unforced. We didn't know. And the IRS said, tough luck, you're going to pay. The penalty abatement in this case was over $40,000. Okay, so then they hired us to help them, and we went back and forth with the IRS. There was other issues, but we went back and forth with the IRS. They said no, we're not. We made another appeal to to get the penalty abatement. Now, penalty abatements are when the IRS agrees to take off a penalty that they have assessed against you. So there's different reasons why they will abate a penalty. So one is a first time abatement. So if I have never missed my taxes, I've always paid on time, I've always filed on time, and then one year I'm late for instance, and then they assess this tax against me. I go back to the IRS and say, wait a minute, I'm always on time. Give me give me a shot.
Come on, give me a break.
And the IRS will say, okay, we'll give you one shot. One break, we'll give it to you. But they don't always do it. They don't have to do it. And again, in this case, they said no. So we appealed it. And we appealed it last October, and it's been in the appeals ever since. And I wrote a brilliant brief, in my opinion, about why the IRS should, why there's also what they call reasonable cause. If I could tell them there's a reasonable cause why my client did not pay or file on time, then they will abate that penalty. And so again, it's already been denied. It's a lot like some insurance companies out there, right? So some people you have your insurance company, you get in an accident, you go to your insurance, you say, hey, I'm going to file this claim, and they'll tell you, nah, that's not covered. And some people will just say, well, I guess it's not covered. I'm not going to get paid. But some people will go back and say, wait a minute, this is covered. It's right here. Oh, yeah, you're right. We're going to cover it. So it's really a scam, in my opinion, to save money for the company because then they don't want to cover it, but even though they're supposed to. So they're only going to give it to the people who insist. The same thing with the IRS. You'll ask them, hey, can you abate this penalty? And they'll come, oh, we're going to think about it. They're going to think it over and take a couple of months and then come back and say, no, we're not going to abate it. Kind of same thing with offers and compromise. You'll go and do all this work and put together an offer. You'll send it out to them. They'll put it in the queue and think about it for months and months and months and months. And some months later, 8 months or more later, they'll come back to you and say, nope, sorry, it's denied. All of these things with the IRS, I shouldn't say all of them, but most of this stuff with the IRS, you have to appeal it. They're going to deny it right off the bat. They're going to tell you that you don't qualify or they're not going to do it. And you have to appeal it. That's why this stuff takes so long. And the IRS does it on purpose, right? Because they don't want to give you any breaks.
Because they can afford to draw it out. And
it's got, that's right, nothing on them. So they'll draw it out. And I kept getting calls from my client, hey, what's going on with this? Because as I mentioned, we filed this appeal last October. So we're coming on almost a year now with our appeal. And my client would call every couple months. What's going on? We're keeping them advised. We keep calling. We keep checking. Oh, no. Last time we called, they said, we haven't even taken it out of the queue. We haven't even assigned it to anybody yet. So finally, they assigned it to someone. And then we got the word this last month that our penalty abatement was successful, and they abated that penalty of over $40,000. But it's even more than that because that was a couple of years ago now. And the interest on that $40,000, that's also abated. So it's a lot. It comes out to much more than $40,000. And this is important because
take note, ladies and gentlemen.
Now remember, there's a penalty. There's a penalty for not filing on time, and then there's a penalty for not paying on time. So and I had clients this week, right? So they haven't filed in some years, and why it came out to because they had the file and they didn't have the money, so they thought, well, I can't file unless I have the money. But that's a mistake. Even if you can't pay the IRS, you can file your tax return. You don't have to send them the money.
Don't pay the penalty.
They want you to pay the money, but if you don't have the money, don't get caught with both of these penalties: failure to file and failure to pay. And so, if you have a choice, always file your tax return on time. Now, I get people who haven't filed in some years, and they say, well, every year we ask for an extension, but the extension only goes to October 15th of that same year. It doesn't go on forever.
No.
Okay, so you file an extension.
I was just actually talking to a gentleman about this that I work with, and he was talking about how far the IRS can go back for your taxes. Is it 4 years or 7?
It depends, though, Jim, because it depends where. If you haven't filed anything, they can go back much farther than that because they generally. So I have people who come to see me; they haven't filed in 10 years, 15 years, and so usually we'll try to go back 6 years. Okay. And sometimes the IRS will allow that. Sometimes they'll ask you to go back a little bit further. But usually we try to do 6 years. But if you haven't filed, technically the IRS can go back to the, time. But in the end, it really doesn't matter because I can't pay that tax anyway.
Well, the reason why I brought that up is because, again, he was talking about, there's an extension date. Well, yes, you have to file your tax, but you have to pay it.
Okay, so
you have to pay it.
If you pay 90% of what your tax is going to be before the due date in April, so April 15th or April 17th, remember it's been changing. But if it's on April 15th, then if you pay up to 90% of that, and then you won't get a failure to pay penalty, even if you owe more money. But if you don't pay up to 90%, then you will get a failure to file to pay penalty. So anyway, that's the way it works. And if you have any questions, call me.
We hope you guys had a great little segment there. Remember, if you didn't take any information or you're just catching right now, you can go to YouTube, look up Attorney Steven Leahy or Opem Tax Resolution. You can see the live feed that we did on Friday of the show. That way you're able to watch and get the information. So you can go there, like, subscribe, share, do all that. And also call Opem Tax Resolution if you have any other questions. 312-664-6649. And visit ChicagoTaxTeam.com today. It's going to be your hub to fight the IRS. Remember, I'm Jim Leahy with @Properties 847-271-3695. and we hope you guys enjoyed. Remember, don't go through the same problems that everybody else is going through. The IRS wants you to. Fight it today, and Opem Tax Resolution will help you get there. So stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen, here on AM 560.
The Answer.